If you find yourself falling out of love, go back and court your mate like you did when you fell in love, and you will fall back in love. And that is the quote of the day. Welcome back to the Quote of the Day show. I'm your host, Sean Croxton of SeanCroxton.com. Thanks for tuning in to our Tuesday episode with the late, the great Mr. Zig Ziglar. Zig's always got the good stuff. And today, Zig is talking about relationships. He's talking about chivalry. And I can remember being just a little guy, maybe 10, 11 years old. My mom and I were walking to a store, and I didn't get the door for her. And I got quite the tongue lashing for that one. Like, boy, you better get that door for a woman. And ever since then, I have just been a chivalrous type of dude. And it's amazing. You know, I'm a single guy, and I go on quite a few dates. And women are blown away these days by the fact that I pull out chairs, that I open up doors, that I ask that they text me when they get home just to make sure they got home safe. Like their minds are blown. And it's a trip how in this day and age, like, men are no longer chivalrous for the most part. I'm just speaking in generalities, but for the most part, that's true. And I think our women deserve so much more. And so listen up as Zig talks about this topic, and I will see you on the backside.
Want to have a beautiful relationship? Want to have an exciting marriage? Want to have a loving marriage? Want to have fun in your marriage is the question? Then let me suggest that you start the whole courtship process over. Do you remember how it was when you first met? You remember? Ladies, you know, you went home and you said, "Oh, Mom, I met him." You met who? "Oh, Mom, the cutest boy. Oh, Mom." Now, he doesn't look like much, but Mom, you have absolutely got to see him. And you remember how it was, fellas, after you had met her and you'd gotten that first date and how excited you were. It was going to be next Thursday night, you remember? And the date was at 7 o'clock and you only live 5 miles from her, but you cranked that old jalopy up at 6 o'clock just in case you had a flat. You don't want to be late. And sure enough, that's exactly what happened. On the way down, you had that flat, and you got to walk 2 miles back to the service station to get the tire plugged up because you don't have a spare, and you realize you're running late, and so you call that little girl, and you say, "Honey, I'm running a little bit late, but I'll be there, don't worry." And you remember, ladies, how you responded when you said, "Oh, that's okay, honey. I'm glad you called, though I would have been worried, but I'll be ready." And of course, when he got there, you obviously were not ready. I mean, you made the rascal wait that respectful 15 minutes. You remember that. And you remember when you made that grand entrance on that first date, how you put that best foot forward? I mean, you came prancing out of there. You remember when all of that took place. And you know, that little girl had been running up and down those front steps every day for the last 19 years. But all of a sudden, you guys become concerned about her ability to negotiate those steps. I mean, you help the poor little thing down. Some of them are 7 inches high. When you get out to the car, no female girl could be expected to open that monstrous thing. So you open it for her, and you help the poor little thing in, and you gently and snugly close that door. Do a double check on the seatbelt. Make absolutely certain she is secure and safe there in the confines of your automobile. You drive down to the movie, and you load up on popcorn and peanuts and candy and the whole bit. You go in and you wolf yours down just absolutely as fast as you can, and then you volunteer to help her. And you've been seated, 30 or 40 minutes, and you remember you had a little plan in the back of your mind. You remember you got tired of sitting there and you started to stretch. You clever rascal, you. And that hand just happened to drop in the right place. You remember when you were doing all of those things, how you would move heaven and earth. You'd plot and plan. You would do everything to get your beloved off by herself for 15 minutes, anytime, any place, under any circumstances. And then one day you got married. Dr. George Crane says this: if you find yourself falling out of love, go back and court your mate like you did when you fell in love, and you will fall back in love. Now, I want to emphasize something. You might not agree with some of the steps that I advocate that you take, but the steps are not the important thing. I'm talking about a principle. What you want to do every day of your life for your mate is do something for your mate that your mate is totally capable of doing for themselves. If they can't do it, you have an obligation and a responsibility to do it. But if they can do it and you do it for them, you're saying, honey, I sure do love you. You're important to me. This reminds me of something that's important. Now, folks, I'm from another generation. I still say yes, sir, and yes, ma'am. I still believe in some of the old-fashioned approaches to life. For example, in all the years the redhead and I have been married, I honestly don't think she's opened the car door for herself a dozen times when I was there. Now, obviously, she's capable of opening that car door. That's a simple thing to do. But I love to do it because every time I do it, it is a reminder to me, here's the person I love. Here's somebody that's important to me. I take special delight in doing this little thing. Ladies, I've often said to wives that if your husband gets out of that car and walks away without acting like the gentleman he ought to be, what you need to do is you just sit on that horn. You remind that rascal that he has a responsibility to you. What it does, as I say, it really serves as a marvelous reminder. It really does. One of the things that I hold so important, and that's always, fellas, to keep your wife the most important person when you're with anybody and everybody. From time to time, it happened as a matter of fact on this last trip out of town. From time to time, I'm picked up by a couple, and many times the wife wants to sit in the back seat. On many occasions, the husband has even suggested that the wife sit in the back seat. I'm flattered that they want to honor me, but that is a misplaced concept on the part of that husband. His wife is the most important person on this earth to him. She occupies that seat up front by him. I would never dream of sitting in that seat if there is a wife along. Honor your wives, fellas. They will love you for it and respect you for it. Ladies, let me say something to you, and fellas, let me say something to you. When you and your mate get back together at the end of the day, you have no idea during those first few seconds what has been taking place. Welcome your mate home. What a difference it'll make. Treat your mate always as if they've had a tough day. A lot of times they have. Whether they have or not, though, they'll be grateful to you that you did. I talk about commitment a lot because that's the key to the whole thing, really. The commitment is strong. You can work out so much.
All right, that was Zig Ziglar. His website is zigziglar.com, and today's clip comes from Zig's audio program, The New Courtship After Marriage. Again, that's The New Courtship After Marriage. It's available on Audible, on the Nightingale.com website, and it's also in the Nightingale Insiders app. That's it for me. I will see you tomorrow with another episode of the Quote of the Day Show. Peace.